How you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Today I'm going back to Will Eisner. I did a contract with God a little while ago, and now I'm going to do the sequel to A Contract with God. This is A Life Force. It's funny because I got them both at the same time. I got into Will Eisner probably in high school, and these were already released, and then I picked them both up at the same time. And I tend to get them a little mixed up. I was looking for a particular panel. If anybody has seen that video, I kept saying I'm looking for a panel, but I never found it. Why? Because that panel is in this. So looking back at them both, I realized that I like A Life Force so much better than A Contract with God. Contract with God launched, well, I was about to say something that was wrong. I was going to say that Contract with God launched Will Eisner into godlike comic book status, but he already was godlike comic book status. I've said before in my other Will Eisner video that if there was a Mount Rushmore of comics, the four heads would be Max Gaines or William Gaines, the founder of EC Comics, Mad Magazine, because they invented comic books. So that's one head. You could, I'd put Max. Then the second head would be Will Eisner, because Will Eisner saw, let's put Jack Kirby and Stan Lee for obvious reasons. Stan Lee creating so many characters that made comic books a household name. Jack Kirby drawing so many characters that made comic books a household name. But then there's the guy that nobody knows about, Will Eisner. Will Eisner was the first one to recognize comic books as a creative, beautiful art form, and he tried to elevate it. Max Gaines tried to make money. Jack and Stan, they loved comic books, but it was a job. I'm not degrading what they did. They did a wonderful work. But Will Eisner, he wanted to make comic books a respectable, viable art form. That's what he wanted, and I think he did. I think his work speaks for itself. It's wonderful work. Okay, so this is part of a trilogy. First was A Contract with God, then there was A Life Force, and then there was New York Stories. Is that what it's called? That's gonna drive me nuts now. Yeah, A Life Force. So this is the hardcover edition, and it's autographed. Look at that. Okay, so Will Eisner got famous for doing The Spirit. It was a free supplemental, it was like the Sunday Funnies. That was 8-page Sunday Funnies that was given away in comics. So this is copyright 83, and this is the 88 edition, kitchen sink, hardcover, autograph. That's why I picked this up. And it's set in, Depression, 1930s New York City, and it's not wallowing in the misery. Although Will Eisner grew up in that period, his father was very poor. This is the backdrop. Is he the cockroach in the meaning of life? Just look at this. Look at the use of shadows and darkness. And I keep talking about how Eisner is a master of storytelling. Like you could follow the panel. If you didn't read English, you could follow the panels and still get the gist of the story. But this poor guy is getting let go after working here. It's Jacob is losing his job. It's the 30s, but unfortunately, that's the way it goes. I mean, you gave Goldfarb, you're giving. So he's mad because he built the building, but Goldfarb financed it. So he's more upset that somebody else's name is going on the synagogue when this gentleman, Jacob, built it with his hands. He was paid to work on it, but Goldfarb financed it. So he's just like, this isn't fair. So he's leaving. He's taking his goods, taking everything, and walk. He worked on this for years, and here he is walking home. Look at the angles. It just looks 5 years. 5 years. Doesn't he understand? I was making a living. I was making something, a reason for living. Otherwise, how is a man different from a cockroach? And here he is. I just love a lifetime of working for what I ask you. And through his depression and anxiety and trauma, he's just having a heart attack in the alleyway. Boy, God, no, I can't move my legs. My chest hurts. Oy vey, I'm dying. Poor Jacob. And then his Rivka, and she shakes out her rug. And when she shakes out her rug, Izzy the cockroach falls to the floor from the alley, 2 flights up valley. There's Iggy the cockroach. And Jacob, he just notices. And looks over. And this is my favorite comic book panel of all time. I photocopied this and I put a frame around it and I hung it up in my dorm room in college. That's how much I love this frame. Never failed to be a conversation starter. It's just a wonderful. Matter of fact, look at that. So, Mr. Cockroach, what are you struggling for? To maybe stay alive a few more days? Just look at that. Well, to tell the truth, so am I. I'm trying to stay alive. So then what's the difference between us? You, being only a cockroach, just want to live. But for you, it's enough. For me, I have to ask why. Why? Who knows why? God? Well, there are only 2 possibilities. Either man created God, or God created man. If man created God, then reason for life is only in the mind of man. If, on the other hand, God created man, then the reason for living is still only a guess. After all is said and done, who really knows the will of God? So in either case, both man and cockroach are in serious trouble because staying alive seems to be the only thing in which everybody agrees. So here he is. Guy's going to mug him, and he's trying to die in peace. And Jacob, what are you doing? Come up. It's time to eat supper. All right. I'm coming. And he just gets up. And then the cockroach also just gets up. It goes to eat its supper. I just love that exchange. And there's another panel in this that I really love. I'm not going to go through all the stories. I'm just going to look through that one panel. But that's what it's all about. People struggling in New York in the Depression, But then, I just got like a little wave of emotion by looking at this page. I remember sitting on a couch in college and reading this to her. A girl I was wooing and just talking about it. And she, it worked. Let's just leave it at that. It worked. So yes, two specific comics worked for me, and we'll leave it at that. The other one was Petrifex by the Sandman. Okay. Okay. Oh, here we go. I skipped over it. Okay. So this poor kid, he's going for his Hebrew lessons, and the rabbi's very strict. And the kid, rather than study and brush up on his Hebrew, he was out playing ball. So he gets called on to recite in Hebrew. He goes, "You should learn to prepare." So he's going to get whacked with the stick. I'm a dead man. Pay attention. God is listening. Oh boy, I'm going to be sick to my stomach. So this poor kid, we've all been there. Got distracted and didn't do our homework. But then, you finished the passage, Yussel. But so the rabbi got distracted and skipped over the kid. But it's Yevel's turn. I said, you finished the passage. He. And then, the rabbi sees his senile wife. And, she's walking out in her nightgown. And he's all embarrassed. He's all prim and proper by her. And he's like, yes, you shouldn't come out of your room, please. See, I made the children tea. That's nice, but the children shouldn't drink tea. Come on, Becca, don't cry. It's all right. Why can't I sit outside too? She's proud. I'm getting emotional now. Poor old lady. It just wants to see the children, but she's trapped in a room because he's embarrassed by her senility. And Rabbi asks you to come up, Jacob. I have something to talk to you. So now the rabbi's gonna, now go, children, go. So he's gonna hire Jacob. So everybody's working out their problems. So, but this is what I think. What I think, Umi? I think it was God, the hand of God, sending an angel. He goes, "What do you mean an angel? Geez, that was just his crazy old wife. You don't believe in that stuff, do you?" "Oh yeah, well, last night I prayed that something would happen, like maybe I should get sick so I wouldn't have to read my portion unprepared. Well, it did. An angel came and saved me. Didn't she? Boy, oh boy, that's what kind of thing happens in a rabbi's house. It's got to be the hand of God. It was a genuine miracle. What else could it be, Gumi?" I just love that. I'm actually getting emotional just thinking about it. And then talking about news. But I'm not going to go more into it because I talked about the two things that I love about this. But the Life Force by Will Eisner, it is a phenomenal breakthrough. It shows you what comic books could be. It's elevates the art form into something philosophical, historical, autobiographical. It's just so good. I recommend this, probably one of my highest recommendations. If you saw my Contract with God one, I was a little confused. It's been so long since I read them that I got these both mixed up. I really like A Life Force so much better. But I'll keep the video short. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. And please, if you've taken none of my recommendations to heart, please take this one. This is a serious work of art. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.